You probably think being Professor X is cool. Smart, powerful, reads minds, runs the X-Men. But honestly, it's a nightmare. A bald psychic trapped in a wheelchair, surrounded by chaos. And he hears everything. All the time. Imagine waking up and instantly hearing everyone's thoughts at once. A student thinking about Cyclops naked? You heard it. Wolverine dreaming about fighting Sabretooth with a chainsaw? You lived it. He's not living the dream. He's stuck in the world's most cursed group chat. No mute button, no escape, just raw, unfiltered brain noise 24/7. Let's talk about why being the strongest mutant seriously sucks. Charles Xavier, one of the smartest minds on Earth, founder of the X-Men, a literal psychic god, respected, wise, bald. But here's the truth nobody talks about. He's living the most stressful, cursed life imaginable. Sure, he can read minds, but that means he can't turn off anyone's thoughts. No filter, no silence, just a non-stop brain radio playing the worst of humanity playlist on repeat. He's not just hearing secrets, he's drowning in other people's mental junk. And while everyone else in the X-Men gets flashy powers, teleportation, flying, laser eyes, Xavier, he gets a brain that never shuts up. And a body that, well, barely works. It's like having God-tier Wi-Fi on a phone with a cracked screen and 2% battery. Let's start with the obvious. This dude is the most powerful mind on the planet, and he can't even walk to the fridge. He's basically a human nuclear weapon installed in a Roomba. Every mission, he stays behind. Every big battle, he's watching from the sidelines like a stressed-out high school principal. And when Magneto has one of his villainous tantrums, guess who can't dive behind cover? Even worse, he runs a school in a literal war zone. Missiles flying, walls exploding, mutant powers going off like fireworks. And Xavier's just rolling down the hallway like, please don't explode until after lunch. Now imagine being that powerful and still needing help just to get down a flight of stairs. That's not heroic. That's depressing. So yeah, mind reading sounds cool. Until you realize there's no off switch. Professor X doesn't just read minds, he absorbs every random, gross, dark, unfiltered thought from every person around him. You ever been in a room full of teenagers? Now imagine hearing all of their weird hormonal thoughts constantly. Every crush, every fantasy, every oops, I farted, I hope nobody noticed. He's basically trapped inside humanity's worst group chat forever. And there's no leave conversation button. But it gets darker. He knows who's lying, who's cheating, who secretly hates him. Imagine shaking someone's hand and instantly knowing they once called you a bald wannabe Yoda behind your back. That's not a superpower, that's emotional trauma on hard mode. And the nightmares? Oh, they don't stop. He's seen dying thoughts, felt what it's like to be burned alive, watched people's worst memories like horror movies in 4K. His brain is basically Netflix, but it only streams trauma. You know what's worse than hearing everyone's thoughts? Being in charge of a school full of teenagers who can shoot lasers when they're emotional. Professor X isn't just a psychic mutant. He's a full-time babysitter for hormonal superweapons. It's like running a daycare where every tantrum could destroy the building and possibly the planet. One kid gets dumped, boom, half the hallway's on fire. Another gets ghosted, ice storm in the cafeteria. A pop quiz, someone accidentally teleports to another dimension. And through all this chaos, Charles is just rolling through the halls like, please don't kill each other before midterms. And it's not just the students. The faculty? Not much better. Wolverine? rage issues and trust problems. Storm, literal goddess with weather-based mood swings. Beast, genius, but one bad day and he's a blue, feral librarian. Staff meetings must feel like Avengers therapy sessions. And here's the kicker. No matter how many times the school gets blown up, Charles rebuilds it, like a bald optimist with Stockholm Syndrome. At this point, he doesn't need a teaching degree. He needs hazard pay, and probably an exorcist. Professor X has died so many times, he should have a loyalty card. Buy 9 debts, get the 10th one free. Blown up, disintegrated, betrayed, shot, mind-wiped, erased from reality. The man has a worse survival record than a red shirt on Star Trek. And it's never peaceful. He doesn't just pass away in his sleep. No. He gets vaporized mid-monologue by some cosmic god, or backstabbed by someone he trusted for 20 years. It's like the universe has him on speed dial for emotional damage. And when he does come back to life, it's never with a break or a tan. He wakes up in the middle of another crisis. Same wheelchair, same trauma. Like a corrupted Windows update rebooting in safe mode. At this point, death for Professor X isn't a tragic ending. It's a coffee break, a short intermission before life bends him over again. You'd think with all that brain power, Charles Xavier would have a solid love life. Spoiler, he doesn't. Like, at all. Let's start with the elephant in the room, Jean Grey. Depending on the timeline, Xavier's feelings toward her range from wise mentor to low-key psychic simp. And yes, Jean was one of his students. So yeah, that's creepy. And worse, he can read her mind. He knows she's not into him. He knows she sees him as a mentor. But that doesn't stop him from simping harder than a Reddit comment section. And it doesn't stop with Jean. Charles has had messy flings with aliens, villains, clones. Basically anyone whose relationship status is emotionally unavailable and dangerous. But they all end the same, with Xavier heartbroken, alone, and dealing with a fresh telepathic migraine. It's like his brain is a supercomputer, but his love life's running on stolen Wi-Fi from 2004. Romantically, he's the emotional equivalent of buffering. You'd think being the smartest mutant alive would earn you some respect, right? Nope. Professor X spends half his life giving life-saving advice, only to be completely ignored by the very people he's trying to protect. He's basically a psychic GPS screaming, "Turn left!" while the X-Men hit a brick wall going 90. Don't trust Magneto. They trust Magneto. Jean might be unstable. They hand her the nuclear launch codes. It's like being the only sober guy at a mutant frat party, watching your friends set themselves on fire while you beg them to stop, telepathically. And when it all goes sideways, when the school explodes, a teammate dies, or the world ends again, guess who gets blamed? That's right, Charles. He gives 110% and still gets treated like the weird old teacher with creepy vibes and zero authority. He's not just ignored, he's gaslit by superheroes. So let's put it all together. You're stuck in a wheelchair. You hear everyone's unfiltered thoughts, even the gross ones. You run a school that gets blown up every other semester. You've died more times than a background extra in Game of Thrones. Your love life? A flaming telepathic train wreck. And nobody listens to you, not even the people you literally created. Meanwhile, you're trying to keep a bunch of emotionally unstable teenagers from melting the planet every time they get dumped or fail math. Professor X isn't a superhero. He's a psychic janitor with PTSD, cleaning up messes made by people who treat him like a side character in his own franchise. And somehow, he still shows up every day. That's not power. That's pain with a mission statement. Look, Charles Xavier is a legend. That's undeniable. He's noble, brilliant, and basically holds mutant kind together with telepathy and duct tape. But if you really break it down, being him is like playing life on extreme difficulty, with friendly fire always on. You're overpowered, underappreciated, emotionally wrecked, and constantly reliving trauma in HD. It's not a dream life, it's a cursed internship in hell. So yeah, being Professor X might sound cool, but in reality, it sucks harder than Logan at an all-you-can-drink whiskey bar. And that's why being the most powerful mutant in the X-Men universe is the absolute worst gig ever. Respect to Charles, but I'd take Wolverine's healing powers and anger issues over brain-frying therapy sessions any day. But hey, at least Xavier gets to sit down. Because if you thought hearing everyone's thoughts was bad, imagine remembering everything. Every war, every loss, every time you killed someone you didn't mean to. So yeah, being stuck in a wheelchair sucks. But being Wolverine, that might be worse.